This is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick but not necessarily easy tips to help you squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Gigi Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this.
Hi, I'm Anna Knight, and I help people make social change in the world without burning out or losing hope. Because the world needs your magic right now. But you know what else is magic? The membership I've just opened with your podcast host, Gigi. Gigi and I do really similar things, but in slightly different ways. We realised it would be epic if we brought our membership together. So this month we've opened the Real Life Resource Lab, which is your online coaching space, stuffed full of the resources you need. I'm talking practical tools, emotional support, thoughtful resources, and honest conversations. That's what Gigi and I are all about. Our tools are grounded in the theory of the research and our lived experiences. Because it's not about becoming someone new. It's about having the right tools and the right support to become more fully yourself. Head to realliferesourcelab.com/lab to find out more, or you can join us via the link in the show notes for this episode. Now back to Gigi.
Hello and welcome to this episode where we are going to be talking about how there is no power without self-care. Yes, I am yet again invoking that dreadful phrase, self-care. I use it because I can't think of a better phrase, but I know that it comes with so much baggage and so much bloody marketing that it can be a really tricky phrase for some of us. So let's just refresh our memory, because you will have heard me talk about self-care before if you've been a long-time listener to this podcast. So let's talk about what it's not. I am not talking about painting your nails and doing a workout. Those things are great, but I'm not talking about that kind of self-care. That's what I would call the surface level self-care. And when I talk to people about how are you looking after yourself, it's amazing to me how many people go straight into telling me how often they do or don't go to the gym. Now, exercise and moving our bodies is great. There's hundreds of ways to do that don't involve the gym. And exercising and moving our bodies is just one very small part of self-care. And yes, it's important and it's great. And if you love it, then fantastic. But my goodness, there is so much more to it. And there is something much more important at the foundation of self-care. So I also don't mean anything that you have to spend a fortune on. Again, if you can afford spa days and sound baths and Pilates and retreats and goodness knows what else, then great. Please have at it. If you can afford to spoil yourself, I give you full permission to spoil yourself every day of the week. Please do. It's great. You deserve it. But I'm not talking about things that you have to spend money on when I'm talking about self-care. It is definitely a marketing tool, and that is not what I'm here to talk about. The most effective self-care is the most radical self-care. Are you ready? You've heard this before if you've listened for a long time. Self-care is caring for ourselves the same way that we care for the other people in our lives whom we love. It is including ourselves in our compassion. Now, I say including ourselves because, again, we hear these phrases, don't we? Self-care isn't selfish. You've heard me whinge about that phrase before. I hate it. It's not about choosing us or choosing somebody else. It's about including ourselves. So we choose to care for our children. We choose to care for our partners. We choose to care for our friends, for our families, for people in our community. Whoever we choose to care for and love and show compassion to and show understanding to, we just include ourselves. We don't reject everyone else and go, sod you, I'm looking after me now. Sometimes that is appropriate, don't get me wrong, but we simply include ourselves in all the compassion that we're putting out there in the world. We love ourselves the same way. Now, It's the hardest thing, right? It's the hardest thing. And I see so many people spinning around looking for the next course and the next opportunity and the next shiny thing and the next new idea and the next new technique. And all they're doing is constantly running away from the truth, which is the answer to their problems is to love themselves more. And it's the hardest fucking thing. Self-care is giving ourselves everything that we want that we were told we don't deserve. Let's say that again. Let's sit with that. Self-care is giving ourselves everything that we want that we were told we don't deserve. It's going after the things that we want, even though we were told we couldn't have them. It's resting and playing and creating and napping when we feel like we're supposed to be working, because we feel like we're supposed to be working all the time. Now, we don't think that about anybody else in our lives. So can we please include ourselves in the compassion that understands that work is a part of our lives, a means to an end. And sometimes, if we're lucky, it's our passion. But it's definitely not what we should be doing every hour and minute of the day. And it's definitely not what we should be doing if our body and mind are crying out for rest and play and creativity and some goddamn sleep. Self-care is being excessively kind to ourselves and squeezing every last drop of enjoyment out of life, which is why I say those things at the end of almost every episode of this podcast, because this is the foundation of everything. I cannot stress this enough. Nothing that you learn, nothing that someone teaches you, nothing that you're going to try to do or attempt or put your energy into, none of it is going to work if you don't have your own back, if you don't love yourself. Because life's hard, right? So if we try something new and we get it wrong, or we find it hard, or we need to put some effort in, or we need to keep going, that's almost impossible if the voice inside our heads is going, yeah, well, you know you're always crap. It's probably your fault. You know you're always shit at stuff. Right? It's not going to work. The only way we get through hard stuff is if the voice in our heads is saying, oh my goodness, I am so proud of you. This is so hard and I see you. Keep going. And I'm going to give you a reward for just showing up and trying. Right? Rewards. Rewards are such an important part of self-care. And I drive people mad, I know I do, because whenever anyone does something hard or does something that was freaking them out or like finally does the thing they've been putting off, and I'll say, how are you going to reward yourself? And like, oh God, here she comes again with a reward. And again, people think that has to mean something they spend money on. So if we're struggling for cash, it's like, well, I don't know, I can't really afford anything. A reward doesn't have to be something you spend money on. It can be, please buy yourself presents, please buy yourself flowers, please, reward yourselves that way. But if that's tricky right now, then there's so many other ways to reward. Think about how you would reward a child. Yes, you might buy them a present. It could be something small, though. It might be just, we'll get you a McDonald's Happy Meal, right? It doesn't have to be something massive. And even if you didn't get them anything, what's the really important part of the reward, right? You get a big present, a small present, no present. But what do they get with it? They get words. They get, I'm so proud of you. Well done. This is for you because you did really well. You're amazing and I love you. It's the words. Can we reward ourselves by saying the words, even if the physical item is just a cup of tea we've made for ourselves, right? Or just a lay down on the couch, well done, have a reward, sit down for 2 minutes. That's a bigger reward than anything else, right? Please reward ourselves, because I'm really serious here. If you hear nothing else, hear this. There is no power without self-care. There just isn't. All this stuff we've talked about, our capacity, our energy, who influences us, who we influence, how we use our power, how we view our power. Self-care and self-love is the absolute foundation of all of this. Because we're not going to manage our capacity well if we don't love ourselves. We're not going to turn the volume down on bad influences if we don't love ourselves. We're not going to believe that we can have an influence on the world ourselves if we don't care about ourselves and see ourselves in a good light. There's just no power without self-care. And the other thing to remember, if you're thinking, yes, Gigi, right, that's it, I'm going to do loads of self-care, I'm going to really look after myself, great, amazing. Let's also remember this. We're not starting from scratch, right? We're not starting from a blank canvas. You're not going to get up today and go, right, today's the day that I balance everything out. So I'm going to do a bit of work, and then I'm going to give myself a reward, and then I'm going to do something else and have a nap. And by the end of the day, I'm going to feel so amazing, and I'll be like, Gigi, you were so right. This self-care business, right? It will help. Please do all of that. It will help. But we are starting from a place of years of self-neglect, years and years of shitty self-talk, right? If you're similar age to me, like 30, 40 years of this crap, right? So the recovery is going to take a lot. It is doing as much self-love and self-care as you possibly can. And when you think you've done too much, squeeze out a little bit more for me. If you had a friend who was recovering from a serious illness, you would 100% understand that they needed time and they needed all the good things, not just one day, not just a little bit, all the good things. We are recovering from years of self-neglect. So if you're having a bad day, of course, self-care, self-care, self-care. But when you're having a good day, throw some more in. I want our cups so full that the world can't touch us. I want our cups so full that our energy is like off the charts. I want us to look after ourselves so well that we've got love and energy to spare, right? We want to be compassionate people and change the world and give back. We can't do that from a place of emptiness and self-neglect. Fill up, fill up, fill up, fill up. And then you'll have so much to give and so much to enjoy and so much to give back to yourself, right? It's a wonderful feedback loop, because if you give yourself a little bit more energy, you'll have the energy to do even more self-care and even nicer things, right? And round it goes. And this is how we grow our power. Something that I know in my life definitely stifles self-care, if we're talking about the kind of mini self-care items, the resting, the stretching, the napping, the taking a moment, the breathing. Something that gets in the way for me is hypervigilance. And that comes from years of anxiety, neurodivergence, trauma. We're constantly on alert. When people say to you they find it hard to relax, there's all kinds of reasons for that, but hypervigilance is definitely one of them. It doesn't feel safe to take our eye off the ball for a second, right? Now, there are longer term solutions to that, including trauma therapy. But in the short term, if you know that you need to love on yourself a little bit, but my God, the hypervigilance, you just can't stop, you can't sit down, you can't chill, then move. If you can't slow down, go faster. Dance, run. Depending on your level of ability, just wave your arms around and scream a bit, right? Like, if you can't slow down, then let out the energy. But if we keep it pent up and stay hypervigilant and keep checking, whatever the hell it is we're checking, we're going to go insane, right? So sometimes self-care is absolutely not slow and gentle. Sometimes it is going for a drive with the tunes on loud and singing our heads off. One of my favorite forms of self-care, okay? Because when we don't do these things, so this all sounds great, right? But what happens when we don't do these things? All of the issues we see people having just get worse. So we've all got our stuff, right? We've all got hormonal crap and mental health crap and our past catching up with us all the time, and family nonsense, and people pleasing, and difficulty with boundaries, and like all of the stuff, our anxiety, you know, and depression, and all of these things, right? The less we care for ourselves, the more those things ramp up. So it's not just, oh, that would be nice if I was nice to myself. Yeah, if we don't love ourselves, all of these things just get completely out of control. Self-care, I think the other really important thing about it, it's called self-care, so it's about the self, but it's not alone care, okay? It's not, what do I do by myself for myself? That's part of it, but it's not alone care. Finding the right people, finding your people, is one of the highest forms of self-care. Finding the people who will help you to love yourself, and you'll help them to love themselves. This is self-care to the max, right? As is turning down the volume on unhelpful people. That is also an enormous form of self-care. The most powerful people I know, they're not perfect. They haven't, created for themselves the perfect body or great riches or, the best friendship group or all these things we chase after, right? The most powerful people I know don't have all the material stuff. They don't look a certain way. Just none of those things that we chase constantly. But the most powerful people I know absolutely love themselves. Not all the time. We all have bad days, right? Nobody gets this right all the time. But you can see they love themselves. And by that, I mean, when the shit hits the fan, they take care of themselves. They spend the time looking after themselves, and that brings them back to their power. And they give so much to the world. That's the most powerful people I know. So, with all of that being said, can we please keep trying to be excessively kind to ourselves? Because not only will that mean we squeeze every drop of enjoyment out of life, but that is also where we're going to find our power. Speak to you next time. Thank you so much for listening. It's great to have you along for the ride. Have you joined my membership yet? The Real Life Resource Lab is full of practical support for real life, not the shiny picture-perfect versions we think we should have. It's a warm, practical membership for people who are tired of feeling overwhelmed, disconnected, burned out, or stuck in the endless loop of knowing they want life to feel different, but not quite knowing how to make that happen. And the best bit? It's hosted by not one, but two amazing coaches, me and the audacious Anna Knight. Head to realliferesourcelab.com/lab to find out more, or follow the link in the show notes. See you in there.